So we're going to talk about public and private as keywords for classes. Now, we haven't really talked about encapsulation very much, and encapsulation is going to come up way further along in your computer science careers if you keep going with computer science after this. And encapsulation is just about how logic can be accessed, right? Like what can access what, so that you can create clear-cut channels between logic that I am allowed to use from a certain place and logic that can only be used from inside a class. So to make this more clear, let's look inside the Square class. So right now everything's public. We've given everything the public keyword. And that means that we can access all of these methods, right? So we can access not only the methods, but we can also access the variables. So we could access size. And when I'm in main class, because size is public, I can say my square dot size, right? And I can say it equals 7. So I can just change the size of the square like that. I could also system.out.println my square dot size, like so. This is all totally okay, and the reason this is okay is because I have set square to have a public my size variable. But maybe when I create a square, I don't want people to just be able to change it. I don't want to be able to, like, a square shouldn't have a fluctuating size. A square should have a size that never changes once you've created it. So I will give the private keyword. Now if I give it private, I can no longer do this. And the reason is I can only access private variables from within the class that they are created. So I could do this, look. I could create a method that's public. I could say public int get size, like so, and I could return size. So now, if I want to get the size, I have to use the public method that gets the size for me within Square. And so now what's happening is Square is controlling how you get its private variables, right? So I could now do this, dot get size, and I can do this. Now, maybe what you've noticed is that this is giving me an error, and this is why we want to do something like this, because maybe we don't want to change the size. So get size doesn't allow us to change the size, but it still allows us to get access to the size. And using private keywords allows us to control what information can go in and out of a class. So if I press play now, that's perfectly fine. 1 is the size of my square 1. Yes, it is. But I can no longer access the size variable because it's private. Now, we can do stuff like this with methods also. And why would we want to do this? Well, there's a very good example right here with the print statements. Maybe we want to have the logic of printing be known by the square. And we might want to reuse a method. So what we could do is take this here and say private print private, like this. And what print private is going to do is it's going to be a private method that I can't see unless I'm inside the Square class, that is going to print the square for me with a character. And now, instead of writing this for loop twice between these two print statements, I could call print private, like so, with C, like this. And then I could call print private with the hash symbol, because hash is our standard printing. So these two methods are going to work exactly the same, but they're going to use a private method that no one else can see. So for example, let's do Harold because it's bigger. Harold.print is still there. We are still capable of seeing Harold.print. Oh, we have to do this. And if we press play, it still does exactly the same thing it did before. If I do Harold.print with the @ sign, like this, press play, oh, look at that. It still does exactly what it did before. But the way that it's implemented now is first we call print, and then print calls a private method, print private. If we wanted to use print private from here, we're not allowed. Print, it's not even available to us. Let's try and type it in, and let's try and do what we just did. We can't do it. And we can see that from the method print private from the type square is not visible. And that's because we have given it the private keyword. If I make this public, I can now use it. So private and public are very simple to understand. Basically, anything that you don't want the outside world to see inside your class, you make it private. And then you only make public methods to things that you want people to be able to do. And this way people can't mess with your classes. Like, people can't screw up how they use something because you've only given them the tools to use that thing that they are allowed, right? And so then you have complete control. So that's it for now. That's private and public. Super useful concepts to understand. If you like these tutorials or want to see any more student-made content, please check out the TVM YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.